Hey, LSKR King of D&D Homebrew, talking today about one of my favorite things, as my longtime players know, is having aliens and alien technology in your game, but doing it in a way that it doesn't overwhelm your game, doesn't alienate the players, doesn't change it from its basic fantasy RPG setting, if that's what you're playing, right? Because this has been around since the beginnings of D&D, where, we had, Stephen the Rock in the first module in Blackmore was an alien who would come to Earth, and he killed off his cohorts. I think he had one that was still working with him, and he had this whole high Temple of the Frog, this idea to increase his power. And then you had things like Metamorphosis Alpha and then Gamma World. These were sort of sci-fi fantasy settings. So it's been around forever. And we used to, the idea, if you're in a magical world, why not have, where dragons and spells exist, aliens. Aliens are more reasonable that they do exist, right? But it always carried risks. So I'm going to give you the 4 keys, I think, to introducing aliens and alien technology in your world without overwhelming things, without causing problems. The first one is pretty fundamental, is to limit the scope of any sort of alien or alien technology, the encounter, how the players come across it. And by scope, what I mean is, for instance, it's in a remote geographic area. Not that many people, if anyone, besides the players, knows about it. There's only, one, let's say one craft, a very few aliens. This leads to one of the tropes that I always use, which is the crashed alien spaceship. And I just did a series. I outlined 3 encounters with various aliens and alien technology on my Patreon channel. And for this week, if you're interested, I will send you this PDF, this one-time PDF. You'll see what my Patreon supporters get each week that sign up at that tier about these crashed spaceship encounters. And the reason I like it so much is it limits, how many aliens there are, and then, the viability of the technology that we'll get to, because the ship crashed, right? And they don't necessarily have communication with other aliens. So I'll put a link down here for you to send your email if you want that free PDF. And another way to limit the scope is to not make the alien technology or the aliens themselves too powerful. If the laser pistol does 10d10 dice with every shot, that's pretty deadly. Plus 12 to hit or something on the gun itself. Probably be the person wielding it, but you see what I'm saying? If, you've got some space grenade and you throw it and it does 10d10, that's a lot. You want to think about this in relay. You might say, well, a laser pistol should be able to just cut through metal and do all sorts of, well, now you're creating something that has no, equivalence in your game except some super high level magic. Is that what you want? I mean, it depends on the level of your players, I suppose. But the typical group that might be 5th to 7th level or even lower than that, that's a deadly weapon. A deadly weapon to have pointed at you, and then an unbalancing weapon for the players to have. So you're always limiting the scope of any kind of alien presence, any kind of alien technology that might somehow get to your world, whether it's arrives when the players are there or whether they find it. They dig up some artifact and go, look at this, a laser cannon, And that relates to limiting the quantity. If you have an alien ship that has 100 laser pistols, you're going to be in trouble. Or, you have a hovercraft that has an unlimited fuel supply and the players are zipping around with that and it's got cannons on it and stuff. Again, you're asking for trouble. So everything should be rare. You're limiting the scope of the aliens themselves and the areas they're affecting. You're limiting the quantity of the aliens and their technology, so that it becomes more of a one-shot type deal. And you're limiting the quantity of aliens, not just how many arrive, but you can make them very vulnerable to the atmosphere of your world, sort of the War of the Worlds deal, right? Where they had no immunity to bacteria and were wiped out. Something like that, where even if they do arrive or whatever, maybe they arrived thousands of years ago, an alien invasion, they all die. Again, the invasion, because now you got all these ships in theory that, are lying around. You don't want that. So there should just be one. The scout ship came and they were vulnerable. They died. And there's some technology and time and the elements have destroyed most of that technology. You're limiting the quantity of these items and limiting how many aliens there are and how many ships. because the game is not a sci-fi game. We're not playing, the Aliens RPG or Coriolis or something like that. We're playing Dungeons and Dragons, or, we're playing a fantasy RPG. It could be Pathfinder, it could be an OSR game, whatever it is. Because in OSR, we did this all the time when I was playing. I never played, when I played the original box set and first edition in that. And this relates to my third key here, which is limit the duration of the technology. It only lasts so long. The alien life forms, if they've just arrived, a lot of them are injured or something, again, with my crashed spaceship. But a lot of times that they're already all dead. And you can have some alive. I love to use the stasis pod, where you see the alien, sort of suspended, in water or something. It's a suspended animation. But if you press in the right things, it comes to life, right? And if you make it horrifying to look at, the players are going to go, ooh, I don't know about that, right? But again, the duration of the items, the duration of the technology, it's material, and things don't last forever. It's not like, well, a magic wand has a limited number. Well, the way they do it in 5e. But in the old days, it just had a certain number of charges, and then it was just a stick, right? Nothing lasts forever. Well, machines don't either. Because the thing about machines is, if they're not maintained correctly, do they degrade? Now, again, you can have a laser rifle that has made it all these thousands of years because of the materials it's made. But once you use the gun, once you use it up, it's 10 shots of whatever that damage is. And you can have one that's got like 3 left that does 10d10, really deadly, but it's only got 3 left. So players find that they're going to use it in an important position. So it's one of those potential encounter savior things, TPK, and they've got the laser pistol they've been waiting at. Make sure they know it's got 3 shots, right? And once that battery's out, it's just a piece of metal. It's just an artifact like a real life one. It's nothing. But they get to use it. And so then it's really interesting. And that's the only one in your entire world. And then this relates to maybe the biggest thing here is to limit the utility of alien technology. So you have alien technology that's built for creatures that are immune to radiation. So they don't think about the items having radiation effects. But when the players find them, they discover they do. So if you're going to use one of these items, you're going to slowly get radiation poisoning. You make it clear that they have limited utility here. The items cannot be reproduced. The technology is too advanced. They can't be repaired. So when you have them on your person, if you can make them sensitive to strikes or something, just like a gun can jam or whatever. A sword, it can get broken or whatever, but we tend to use those and just have them. We don't worry about that in a typical D&D setting, unless you're using things, like a shield where you have shield block and stuff in certain games. But here's a mechanical thing that if you misuse it, if a certain number of things, it gets jammed up and you can't fix it. So that utility misfires or it blows up, right? And there's always that chance for it to blow up. That limits its utility. That limits the amount you want to risk it. Because again, you make a high risk, high reward thing where it does 10d10, the laser pistol, but it could blow up on you. It could just misfire at some critical point. And then you can also make them very difficult to use. This limits the utility if you don't quite understand what you're shooting at. First of all, when you first start playing with it, you don't know maybe what the business end of this is. You shoot yourself in the face, 10d10. That would be humorous. And certainly shooting your party members as you're trying to figure this out. You can make it very difficult to use. You can make them very slow. They're slightly malfunction. Again, this is why the ship crashing thing, because now you can have damaged items and whatnot. And again, you're not doing this to screw the play. Oh, you give me a laser pistol, but it's half broken. You're just saying, look at this interesting item and look at this lore from these alien culture. And you can string things along and have all sorts of, they came to this planet a million years ago and left various things. You want to limit the scope of this, though. You don't want to have the whole, unless you want to make your whole world about the alien invasion or the alien presence. I mean, that's fine. But I tend not to want to do that. I just want to have that a little fun, an encounter, whatever. I don't want to make my world all about aliens. But you can have it all sprinkled in, the lore and kind of the flavor of this once the players first discover this. You can connect it to things like, certain monsters are remnants of the alien presence on your world. sometimes in the past. They're just monsters out of the, mind flayers, where an alien race. I mean, that's always been like, where do they come from? Well, there's your answer. They crash landed here, and their descendants are now mind flayers or something. There's many other creatures that you can think of. I think the star spawn are I can't remember which one that is, but there's many others that you can think of that these could be aliens. There's an old thing on the internet about octopi. Maybe they're so strange and intelligent, and they're an alien terrestrial thing, came on a comet or something. Not the case, but we have the various forms of them. But again, that kind of stuff is fun. That kind of stuff is, and you get to the central mind flayer orb, or the elder brain, and it's in fact an alien presence that's out for something. That's like a really cool storyline that is limited in scope. It doesn't have that much utility in terms of the players. There's a risk involved. There's rewards. It's collected different things, but not necessarily its technology. Its technology may have long since stopped functioning, right? This alien thing, whether it's a elder brain mind flayer, or it's just some, reskinning it to become more alien-like. And that way you get all the cool parts of having alien stuff in your world without the negative of, one, creating a world that's all dominated by this technology. It's no longer a fantasy D&D game. And two, you don't have technology that overwhelms. If you've got a laser pistol that does 10d10 with an infinite power supply, that changes things dramatically. If you have a hovercraft that runs forever and can fly through the air at 60 miles an hour and comfortably seat the party or even haul more material, that changes the game. Because, airships tend to be slow, right? Again, limit the utility. You've got a hovercraft, but it goes like 5 miles an hour. It's just used to haul equipment around. So you can have that to go over a body of water, let's say, but you're going very slowly. You're going to be caught by anything that can fly. And so what do you use it for? And again, it's like one of these emergency things or whatever, but it tends to be, we found this hovercraft. It's only slightly useful, but, we wanted to move this gold out of here, right? And we put it on the hovercraft and we went along. Now you're going very slowly with this thing. You've got like some covering over it that goes down to the ground, so it looks like it's a cart or something if you want to disguise it from people that might want to take it. But those are the kind of things you think about. Like I said, that lowering the utility on these things makes it so that the flavor of the alien stuff is there without the potential negatives. And a shout out to my Patreon supporters who this week got their 3 sample Crash Spaceship encounters and a sample alien race, the Arc Reds, and their technology, and of course the AI, the computer system which runs everything. And you'll see the ways in there. If you email me for the PDF, you'll see how I put these limits in on each scenario. So thanks again. I appreciate your support, and thank you for watching the video. Love to hear your comments. Love to send you a PDF. And of course, I want to say play an RPG game, whether it's a fantasy game, sci-fi, or something in between, and tell somebody else about it.